What's up, YouTube, man? We're back at it again, man. Doing what we love to do, bro. You guys already know what it is, man. We love to freaking analyze scary, creepy TikToks, man. Anything, man, that's gonna make us question reality. That's just gonna make us question, I guess our place in the universe, man. Like I said, it's always up to you guys at the end of the video. The clips we receive, bro, that we watch together. Is it fiction or is it reality, bro? So let's dive on in, man. We got a good one today.
Do you notice something kind of off about this mannequin? For anyone who's familiar with the legend, she is known as La Pascualita. The mannequin has stood in the window of a Mexican bridal shop for more than 90 years, but when she was first placed there, patrons noticed something kind of strange. The detail work on this mannequin was unusual. She was noted with eyebrow hair, veins, and even discoloration around her mouth and ears. But that suspicion soon grew to horror as patrons started to notice that she bore a striking resemblance to the owner's deceased daughter, Pascuala. Pascuala was actually said to be married herself, but ended up dying in a tragedy before her wedding day. Shortly after her death, the mannequin appeared in the window and the legend was born that these were the preserved remains of the owner's daughter. But the most compelling evidence has always been the hands. The hands are shown with wrinkles, they have veins, they even have lifelike fingernails, which is unlike any mannequin I have ever seen. The question remains to this day, could this really be the shop owner's daughter?
That would be a sick individual. Oh, have you freaking do it as a mannequin, bro? No, that's different. That's something else. Photos from disturbing backstory. None of they make it back to Earth. What? We know what that triangle represents. He was smiling, bro, and he's in the trenches. Hell no, bro.
This is Abigail or Abby Williams and Liberty or Libby German, and they were 13 and 14 years old in February 2017 when they were murdered in their hometown of Delphi, Indiana.
What?
On Monday, February 13th, 2017, Abby and Libby were out exploring nature, walking around the Monon High trails in Delphi, Indiana. After walking around the trail, they made it over to this bridge. Here, Libby uploaded 2 Snapchat photos. One, as you can see, Abby was in, and then the other one was just of the bridge.
Don't play around no damn
so the girls were walking around the trail, and around 3 p.m., Libby's dad was headed to go pick them up. He called Libby at 3:11 p.m. to tell her that he was on his way to get them, but she did not pick up. When he arrived in the parking lot, he called her again. She still didn't pick up, so he went to go look for her. Obviously, he could not find her, so he called police, and a giant search of the area began that lasted through the evening, the night, and into the next day.
Damn.
Unfortunately, the next day, 2 bodies were found, and they were later identified as those of Abby and Libby.
What?
The bodies were found about a half-mile from the end of the bridge and across from a creek.
Damn.
The exact location has never been released, but it was definitely off the trail a little bit.
Okay,
so Libby's phone was recovered, and police realized that she had taken a video when the girl started feeling uncomfortable. Police have only released a couple of stills and some audio and a very small clip of the video. But here are the stills of the man that was caught in the video.
A guy was following him.
And here is the only portion of the video that has ever been released by police.
What?
A portion of the audio from the video was also released, and it is a man saying, "Guys, down the hill."
What? Damn it.
There were also sketches released of 2 different men. This sketch was released in July 2017, and this was from a witness account. And then in April 2019, this sketch was released, and it's based on the man in the video, and apparently it was drawn back in 2017, but was not released until April 2019, because at first they believed that this one was more credible.
What?
Now, despite all of this evidence, Abby and Libby's murder has never been caught. There is video footage of who a lot of people believe the murderer is. There's audio from that same video and witness accounts who were on the trail, but nobody has ever been caught. Police did say that they believe that their murderer is originally from Delphi, Indiana, and still lives and possibly works there or visits often. But other than that, there are not any leads. There hasn't ever been a suspect or even person of interest named in the case.
Damn,
and
really?
their murderer may still be out there.
What would you think if your sister told you and your husband that if anything happened to her, her husband did it? That's what Maya Miliete told her sister and brother-in-law on a family vacation 1 week before.
You gotta break that up, bro. That's dead, bro.
A neighbor's camera picked up something eerie. The sound of 8 loud bangs ringing out from her home in Chula Vista, California. What? 2 days later, her sister reported the mom of 3 missing. At first, her husband said he thought she was just in her room the whole time. Now he's saying she probably took off so she could be alone. And he's not talking to the police anymore. On January 11th, 2 days after Maya was reported missing, the attorney did a walkthrough at the house. Here's what he had to say. The windows were all open. The fans were on full blast. It was a little chilly. It looked like he had been cleaning. He talked to Larry a little bit before noticing a hole in the door to the couple's bedroom. Cleaning, fans going full blast on a chilly January day, and a hole in the door a few days after your wife and mother of your 3 children is missing. No wonder the police say Larry isn't cooperating.
They still can't catch him, bro?
Don't commit a murder.
All the signs are there.
Facebook. Shaylin Moran is everyone's worst nightmare when it comes to exes. It all started when she met Leonard Trofield III online. And
he got that face tattoo on the damn cheek there. That's what I ain't gonna lie. That's a sign, bro.
In 4 days of them knowing each other, she became hopelessly obsessed with him.
What?
And of course, as any normal person would do, he immediately ended things. But that wasn't it for Shaylin. She did not go down easy. She threatened to kill herself by holding a knife to her throat. She tried to jump out of a window. She threatened to kill Leonard and his mother and even shoot up the local YMCA if he didn't get back together with her.
What?
As someone who personally dealt with a psycho stalker like her for 2.5 years named Andrew, I have to say that people like this are no joke. They're terrifying. 2 months later, in December, she already had a new boyfriend, Jack Doherty.
Already? What the?
He showed up to meet her with a 9mm and an engagement ring in which he proposed to her at a New Year's party. At this point, they were already planning the murder. Shaylin had set up the narrative that Leonard was a horrible guy when she tried to file a restraining order for him, and it didn't work due to lack of evidence.
Yeah, really?
He assaulted her. However,
so
Jack believed her when she made these wild accusations against
Leonard,
caught him up saying that he essayed her, he did all of these horrible things, left her in a cemetery to die, and
so
they planned to kill both Leonard and his mother. Jack, being the stand-up guy that he is, decided to take matters into his own hands. He showed up at the house that Leonard shared with his 54-year-old mother, Cheryl Smith. She answered the door when Jack knocked and was immediately met with 4 bullets in her chest.
What?
She was declared dead at the hospital. After finishing the job, Jack took a lift back to where Shaylin was and snapped her. This is what it said. Now this is for life. I'm yours forever and you're mine. Afterwards, using this picture, the couple announced their engagement on Facebook and bragged about the murder.
Really?
This is eventually how they were caught. Now, come 2021.
How do you murk somebody, bro? And then if you can brag about people are dumb, man. That just proves you have no heart, bro. That's like you always gotta stay freaking woke, man. You would never know person intentions.
Shaylin was convicted after pleading guilty and is serving a lifetime sentence in jail, and Jack is still awaiting trial. Man,
So they didn't even get the son, they just got his mom?
What do you guys think? This is just something else. This really hits me hard, though.
It's insane,
because,
bro.
as most of you know, I had a stalker, a violent one, for 2.5 years. And this was always my worst fear. Always my biggest fear. So, what do you guys think?
It's different, bro. Like, what the hell, man?
This is Worst Deaths Imaginable, number 42, and it is very graphic. So, viewer discretion is advised. Hello, true crimers. This is the story of Katarzyna Zawada. Katarzyna was a 23-year-old Polish student. She had a doctor's appointment scheduled on November 12, 1998, but she never showed up for it. She was supposed to meet her mother at that appointment, and it was very important because it was a psychiatric appointment. Katarzyna was suffering from a lot of issues with depression and other psychological issues, so when she didn't show up, her mother became concerned, tried to report her missing, but police said you have to wait longer.
What?
On January 6, 1999, a tugboat captain would uncover something very disturbing.
Oh, man.
Floating in a river that he was in was a long strip of kind of clear material, and it had a very, very bad odor. When he got close to it, there was a human ear attached to it.
What?
He pulled it on board, and it's blurred out, I'm gonna kind of try to cover it here, but what it actually was an entire torso of skin.
Whoa.
Just the skin.
What the
When police pulled DNA from it, the DNA matched Katarzyna Zawada.
What the hell happened?
The police would then comb the river and they found body parts. They found her right leg. They also found articles of clothing. They never found the bulk of her torso.
So what the hell happened,
her head.
bro?
Police quickly realized what the skin they found was. It was a perfectly formed skin suit. Someone did this intending to wear her skin. After years and years of investigating, in 2017, a man by the name of Whinging Robert J. was arrested for Katarzyna's murder. This man was apparently already on police's radar back in 1999, but for some reason...
He fell under the radar, bro?
What did he do to her? She was skinned alive.
What?
He took a sharp instrument, and while she was still alert and awake, he slowly cut the skin of her torso off of her. He apparently was an expert in skinning animals, so he just used the same technique on her. She allegedly was alive for most of these.
Imagine being alive, bro, and you getting freaking skinned alive. That has to be freaking... That's unimaginable, bro. People are monsters, man.
She was then stabbed in her neck, her groin, and her armpits until she died. What? It was a sadistic torture murder. He also beat her severely and sexually assaulted her. And believe it or not, the man is still awaiting trial.
What? How can someone still be waiting from trial like that, bro?
Hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a fucking joke. I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body just disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie.
And you recorded
What you just heard is a tape recorded by Brian Draper and Tori Adamchich right after they murdered their high school classmate Cassie Jo Stoddart. On September 22nd, 2006, Cassie was house-sitting for her family and invited her boyfriend Beckham and his friends, Brian and Tori, to watch a movie. Before the movie ended, Brian and Tori left the house, but they intentionally left the basement door open so they can return later. After some time, the two boys snuck back into the house and started to scare the couple by making loud banging noises and turning the power off using the circuit breaker. Once Beckham leaves at 10:30 p.m., Brian and Tori go upstairs and proceed to stab Cassie around 30 times. These two dumb criminals were easily caught in the next couple of days.
Why did you handle it? I'm trying to find a pair of scissors that I found that in my basement.
You dumb, and then you gonna make
In September
a
of
video
2021, Robert Durst was found guilty of first-degree murder for his longtime friend, Susan Berman. So I figured I would do a series on Robert Durst and how crazy all of this is.
Okay.
Who exactly was Susan Berman? What exactly happened to Robert Durst's first wife?
What the hell is this case?
And is Robert Durst a serial killer? Also just goes to show how much you can get away with when you are a rich white male.
Oh, crap.
Friendly reminder, viewer discretion advised. I'm going to do a multiple part series, so if you see some parts missing, it most likely means it was not clock-out friendly and it was taken down. So if you would like to see the whole video, you can head on over to my YouTube. Robert, also known as Bobby Durst, here was born 1943 in New York City, New York. His father, Seymour Durst, was one of the biggest names in real estate. You can see him there above my head. The men who own New York. So let's go all the way back to 1973 when Robert Durst married Kathleen or Kathy McCormack, a dental hygienist. Unfortunately, from the get-go, the families could tell that the marriage probably wasn't going to work. Also, according to friends, Robert Durst was very physically abusive towards Kathy, among other things.
So she still
did it? So the pair did separate in
Went
1980, and it didn't take long for Robert Durst to hop right back on the market, and he started dating a woman named Prudence, who was actually Mia Farrow's sister.
Oh, what the hell?
Unfortunately, also under very mysterious circumstances, Kathy left a party in Connecticut January 31st, 1982, and completely vanished after this. And at this point, it was just a missing persons case.
What?
At one point, Robert Durst was offering a reward of $100,000, but over time, that seemed to dwindle down to $15,000.
Yeah, why they keep dwindling?
According to friends, after her disappearance, it seems that everybody was pretty suspicious of Bobby here doing something. And according to one of Kathy's friends, she did an interview after the disappearance and claims Kathy told her, "If something were to happen to me, please look into it. I'm afraid of what Bobby will do."
Okay.
And fortunately, in the year 2000, they do reopen the disappearance of Kathy. And apparently police were going to zero in on Susan Berman, who is a great friend of Robert Durst's.
What?
I did find this photo on the internet of the two. I do not believe the pair were ever married, despite how this looks. I think this was just her wedding. So I just wanted to
I'm about to say, okay, so they weren't married.
It seems like Robert Durst liked to marry people under the radar. We'll get to that in a minute. Susan Berman here, though, was a journalist and author, and actually discovered later in life that her father was a mobster. She got her education from UCLA and Berkeley. So police are going to go question Susan Berman at her house in Benedict Canyon, California.
Okay.
Unfortunately, upon arrival, police noticed a few strange things, such as doors open and her dogs running around aimlessly. And this is when they found Susan in her home, shot dead, execution style. And in 2001, Galveston, Texas, some kids fishing find something.
What?
Once police are dispatched to the scene in Galveston, Texas, they make gruesome discoveries.
Okay.
One, a torso is found in the bay, and eventually some bags wash up onto shore.
Oh, man.
You can probably assume what was in the bags. I'm trying to be very careful with my wording here. The only part that was never recovered was the head. While they were investigating, though, they did discover that not only was that in the trash bags, but there was also trash. One of the bags included a newspaper clipping, and on that one clipping was actually an address. 2213 Avenue K in Galveston, Texas.
So they did weigh the body with the actual trash. Like, what the heck? People are insane, bro.
The investigators arrived. They found blood trailed from the front door here all the way to the street. They spoke with the landlord, who confirmed that in one of the apartments, apartment 1, belonged to a Morris Black. And apartment 2 was rented out to a Dorothy Signer, who was described as a ugly, old, mute woman. But as it turns out, the landlord was actually a really big fan of Miss Signer because she minded her own business, she kept to herself, and she paid a year's worth of rent in advance. Also, didn't seem to be there often and liked to travel. During this time, police actually were able to get a fingerprint off of the victim
so they got
and were able
evidence
to confirm that it was Morris Black. Once police got inside this unit, they discovered more blood was in the hallway, and it looked like somebody tried to clean it up but didn't do a great job. Not only was blood found outside, but they did find some inside in the hallway, which led to apartment 2, which also led investigators to getting a warrant. Once the investigators got inside, though, they didn't really see anything. No personal items except for some clothes, some books, and noticed a drape on the kitchen floor. On the vinyl kitchen floor, they found some, like, gashes. So they tore a piece up of the vinyl and discovered a pool of blood. And this is where they came to the conclusion that the gruesome death of Morris Black occurred right where they were standing. So who in the hell is Dorothy Signer? Investigators went around the building to find apartment 2's trash, and this is where they found some more important clues. Inside the trash can were two pieces of very incriminating evidence.
Which were?
One of them was a receipt from a hardware store where whoever it was purchased a bow saw, among other suspicious items. Also, an appointment card from an eye clinic, reminding Robert Durst to come pick up his glasses. Now police are wondering who the hell is Robert Durst, and why is he pretending to be a mute old lady?
Like, so many freaking parts to this damn case. Identities and all that,
Now, according to this appointment card, Robert Durst was a few days late on picking up his eyeglasses, but investigators figured why not. So they went over to the clinic and left a card just in case he decided to show up. Lo and behold, he actually did. Right as investigators were getting there, Robert Durst was leaving, so they were able to follow him, pull him over, and detain him. And in the trunk was a bow saw. And this is one of the craziest things that I personally have ever heard, and the craziest thing that investigators have probably ever heard, was they arrested and detained Bobby Durst here for the murder of Morris Black, and they let him know that he was being held on homicide charges, and his bail was set at $250,000. So Robert Durst asks, "What should I do?" And the detective says, "Well, do you have $250,000? To which Robert Durst replies, "Well, not on me."
What?
I mean, what? Later that day, he makes a phone call to a Deborah and asks for the $250,000 wired into his account, and she says, "No problem, it'll be there by the morning."
Really?
Jesus, Deborah, do you want my Venmo? Now we have a Deborah in the picture.
So how the hell where'd she come from?
And it turns out she's the wife of Robert Durst, which is how what I referenced earlier, that he likes to marry people under the radar. During initial questioning with Deborah, they asked her how long the pair had been married, and it took her a little while to figure out when they got married. And investigators were even like, "Do you mean December 11th, 2000? And she said yes. The questioning is kind of weird because investigators are asking her questions, but she doesn't seem to be taking them very seriously. They do ask her, "At what point did you learn Robert Durst lived in Galveston, Texas?" And she said when she got the call from him that he was arrested for homicide.
Really?
So Robert Durst is released on bail. He was able to give them that $250,000 and then was supposed to show up for a court hearing October 16th. But of course he did not. And on November 30th in Pennsylvania, he was caught trying to steal from a supermarket Band-Aids and a sandwich, despite having $500 in his pocket.
Really?
They searched the rental car that he was using and they found $37,000 in cash, guns, and Morris Black's identification. So in 2003, he goes to trial for the murder of Morris Black. Here's where they determined that Robert Durst has Asperger's, and they tried to use this as a defense. And that was kind of like the main reason he did this, and it was also in self-defense, which is asinine. But he was acquitted. He was found not guilty for the murder of Morris Black.
What?
Shockingly. December 21st, 2004, he did plead guilty to a couple of things. 2 counts of bond jumping and 1 count of tampering evidence, which was the dismemberment. But because this was a plea bargain, he actually only got 5 years and then was credited for the years he'd already served. So only required 3 years in prison.
What the hell? He did all that and he got 3 years of...
In 2005, Robert Durst was paroled but sent right back to jail for violating his terms. And in 2010, All Good Things premiered, which was about Robert Durst. And Robert Durst actually reached out to the directors, telling them that he had seen the movie. And then in 2015, the HBO documentary The Jinx came out, which, if you haven't seen The Jinx, highly recommend it. It's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It also provided a lot of evidence for the police about the case. We'll get more into that later. Including that shocking finale, where Robert Durst essentially confesses. Most importantly, though, The Jinx brought more attention to Susan Berman and her horrible but mysterious death. Specifically in episode 5, we get some handwriting samples that could confirm that Robert Durst is the one responsible. So after Susan Berman was killed, an anonymous letter was sent to the Beverly Hills Police Department. As you can see, the lettering is very similar to the letter from Robert Durst to Susan Berman in March before her murder. And if that doesn't convince you, we also have Beverly Hills.
It's too similar, bro. You can tell.
Written out on both of these letters, where whoever wrote them misspelled Beverly. According to Robert Durst, in 2005, there was a deposition written stating that Susan Berman actually contacted Robert Durst, saying that the LAPD wanted to come question her about the disappearance of Kathy. But it's actually unclear on whether or not LAPD informed her that they were coming. But there was sufficient evidence to make an arrest. So in mid-March of 2015, now 71-year-old Robert Durst is arrested for the murder of Susan Berman. He is arrested in New Orleans. And once they arrested him in New Orleans, they realized that it looked like he was trying to flee the country. And then the next day, The Jinx season finale airs. And apparently there was no correlation to his arrest and this airing. But there is that shocking ending where Robert Durst actually gets up in the middle of the interview to use the restroom, not realizing that his mic is still on his chest and still live. And in the bathroom, he starts talking to himself where he says, "There it is, you're caught. What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course." And the filmmakers discovered this a little bit later. I would give all of my savings to be in the same room as the filmmakers when they discovered that he said this on a hot mic. in the bathroom.
He really said that?
All my savings. In court, there were people brought up to the stand that claimed that Robert Durst did confess to killing Susan Berman, and they also claimed that there was no physical evidence tying Robert Durst to the case, but that handwriting sample seems like enough evidence to me. October 2018, the judge ruled that there was sufficient evidence for this to go to trial. There were a couple roadblocks, one of them being COVID-19, and another one being Robert Durst having bladder cancer. At the age of 78, he himself took the stand and denied killing her. But, as we discovered last month, he was found guilty of first-degree murder.
So he did it.
There will actually be some updates in the case October 14th, 2021. I'll keep you guys updated.
Took decades for him to get caught. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. Like I said, you guys never know person intentions, man. And so you always got to just stay aware. And yeah, if you guys enjoy these TikToks, man, for you guys today, I really appreciate it if you guys can hit that subscribe button, also hit that like button, man, so we can grow, we can expand our community together. Like I said, bro, it's up to you guys to decide, is it facts or is it fiction, man, on some of these clips, man, that we saw today. You guys gonna catch you in the next ones, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.